Welcome to Science Facts, where I explore the science and give you the facts. Did you know that 9 out of 10 Americans eat too much salt, and that by increasing your potassium to help counter this, studies show you may be able to decrease your risk of stroke by 24%? Also, if you live in America, there's a 48% chance you aren't getting enough magnesium, which is used in over 300 bodily functions. These are just a few examples showcasing how important it is to get the right amount of electrolytes. So, in today's video, my goal is to give you a crash course on electrolytes, what they are, what they do, and how to get the right amount so you can always perform your best and be as healthy as possible. Be sure to stay tuned to the end where I share the daily electrolyte cocktail I drink almost every day. Quick disclaimer before we begin, this video is for education only, not medical advice. If you're pregnant, have health issues, or take medicines, talk to your doctor before changing your diet, supplements, or exercise. All right, so let's dive in. What are electrolytes? Electrolytes are tiny minerals in your body's water. More specifically, they're these 6: sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, and phosphate. They carry small electrical charges. These charges help your cells, nerves, muscles, and brain talk to each other. The simplest way I can think to explain their main functions is with analogies. Think of your body like a city. Sodium and potassium are the traffic lights for nerves and muscles. They help fluid go in and out of the cell. They are also key in regulating blood pressure, but more on that in a minute. Calcium is a builder. It helps build your bones and teeth, and it helps your muscles squeeze. Magnesium is a spark plug that your cells and body use to make energy and keep your heartbeat steady. Finally, chloride and bicarbonate help balance your body's pH, or acidity, and fluids. Okay, so that's a very quick high-level overview of the different electrolytes and what they do. My main question was, how much of each of these electrolytes should I be getting every day for optimal health? So here's what the science says. Please note that all sources will be linked in the description, but the recommended intake and average U.S. adult intakes here were taken from 4 credible sources, and I've put them on the screen for your reference to see the exact amounts that you should get compared to what the U.S. average adult intake is. All right, so if we look at the color-coded bar chart here, you'll see that on average, Americans are getting too much sodium, which better known is sodium chloride table salt. So Americans are getting too much table salt, not enough potassium, just about, but not enough magnesium. They're getting a healthy amount of calcium, except for as you age, and especially for women, you may want to increase your calcium intake, because you will need more and typically don't get enough if you're in those categories. Phosphorus, we're getting too much phosphorus and too much chloride. But again, table salt is sodium chloride, so if we can lower our sodium, we'll also lower our chloride. And in order to lower our phosphorus, we want to just avoid junk food and fast food, and we'll be in the ideal healthy range there. So here are the key findings. Again, Americans are getting way too much sodium and chloride. And this may not be good for your blood pressure, because if you're getting too much salt, it thickens your blood and stiffens your arteries, making your blood pressure go up. The good news is that potassium works in the opposite direction to thin your blood and loosen your artery walls. And it also helps you urinate out excess sodium. So it's going to be key to try to increase your potassium and make sure you're getting enough so that you have a healthy blood pressure and can help your heart health. Number 2, Americans are not getting enough potassium, as I mentioned, and so we want to maybe try to increase these top 10 foods which are rich in potassium. Apricots, lentils, acorn squash, prunes, raisins, potato skins, kidney beans, orange juice, soybeans, and bananas. All right, before we get on to the third main takeaway, one more thing about potassium. There was a really good study I want to mention here, where they studied people in 600 villages in rural China, 20,995 adults. They were older. Most had prior stroke and hypertension, or a history of stroke and high blood pressure. The mean age was 65. And what they did was, it was a randomized control trial where people didn't know if they were getting potassium chloride supplement or just a regular sodium chloride table salt. But for half of the people, they put in 25% of their salt shakers potassium chloride salt instead of sodium chloride salt. So They followed them over 4.74 years, almost 5 years, and there was astonishing findings. Statistically significant lowered strokes, heart events, and deaths for the people that had potassium salt. And I wanted to point that out to you because you may want to consider in your salt shakers at home putting a quarter or even half potassium chloride, which you can buy. It's very cheap, very inexpensive. You can buy on Amazon or in grocery stores just to supplement and lower your sodium intake while increasing your potassium. This great study has shown it's effective in helping your heart health. All right, so now the third main takeaway. The average American is not getting enough magnesium. So magnesium is super important for all kinds of bodily and cellular functions, creating energy. You may want to try to increase these top 10 foods in your diet to make sure you're getting enough magnesium. Pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, almonds, spinach, cashews, peanuts, soy milk, black beans, edamame, kale, and other leafy greens, as well as collard greens. Okay, finally, the other takeaways include the fact that the average American gets enough electrolytes, except for, especially women, calcium as they age. You need more as you get older to keep your bones stronger and teeth stronger, so you may want to try to increase calcium with these top 10 foods. Yogurt, especially with fruit, orange juice, mozzarella, sardines with bones, milk, soy milk, tofu, and salmon with bones. Now, those were the main things I wanted to educate you on regarding electrolytes because a lot of Americans are deficient. However, if you're concerned, on the screen you'll see a chart of symptoms if you're getting too little or too much. So you may want to check that out. And then I had one more main question before I share my daily electrolyte cocktail with you. It was, what's the best way to replenish the sweat? I'm very active when I sweat. What's the best way to rehydrate? So sweat is mostly water and sodium, but there is small amounts of potassium, calcium, and magnesium lost in your sweat. So mostly sodium and water is what you want to replace. But personally, I also have a little bit of potassium, magnesium in my electrolyte drink. One other thing to consider before I share my drink is the fact that you lose a lot of water when you sleep, mostly through breathing. You lose 99% water and only 1% electrolytes. But a good study published in Nature shows that healthy young adults lose about 300 milliliters or 1.25 cups of water in their sleep every night. Now, if you're in a warmer climate or hotter temperatures, this can go way up, all the way to 2 liters a night. So consider first thing when you get up, drinking water, or maybe even putting in some salt, some sodium, some electrolytes in your water to kind of rehydrate from the water you lose at night. Okay, so this is what I do. Personally, I have this water bottle. It's 1.2 liters, 40 ounces, or 5 cups for reference. And I put about a gram of potassium chloride, 140 milligrams of magnesium, and a pinch of Himalayan pink salt. I feel like I get enough salt and sodium throughout the day for my diet. I just want to supplement a little bit on the magnesium and potassium. And then what I'll do is, as I drink it throughout the day and sweat, when it gets about halfway or 3/4 empty, I'll fill it up with water and kind of dilute the electrolytes throughout the day. So I'm not a doctor, but that's what I do personally. I'll link to the things that I get on Amazon, but potassium chloride you can find, like I said, on Amazon or anywhere. Choose your magnesium source. Or if you're concerned, there's no harm in getting too much electrolytes through your diet, through foods that you eat. You cannot overdose. However, if you are supplementing, you can. If you have liver issues, especially be careful of the potassium. But if you're supplementing, 2 or 3 grams, like over 3 grams of potassium, you may run into issues. So that's why I just do 1 gram a day. If I'm really sweating a lot, I might throw in some extra potassium and magnesium and even sodium if I'm having intense workouts or, like I said, sweating a lot. If you're concerned about getting too much, you don't need a supplement. Just eat healthy diet. That's the TLDR. Americans are getting too much table salt. Stay away from processed foods to get your phosphates down. And if you're eating a healthy diet, then you should be pretty good as far as electrolytes go. Especially if you're sedentary, you probably don't need a supplement because you're not sweating a lot. you'll get enough electrolytes to your diet. You just want to stay hydrated. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learned a lot. If you would like a deeper dive into anything I've shared in this video, please let me know. Or if you have any health topics specifically you are curious about, please let me know. I could use the ideas. This is my first video on this channel, and I would appreciate your feedback, whether it's good or bad, to help me learn and get better, or share ideas that would make for interesting videos. So that being said, thank you very much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future science facts. P.S. One last note, I forgot to mention as to why I put Himalayan pink salt as opposed to regular table salt. I like Himalayan pink salt because it's not too expensive, it tastes good, but it's got 84 different trace minerals, everything from copper and zinc, which are really good for your immune system and your cellular health, mitochondria, all kinds of trace minerals that I think are also beneficial. So just a little note there to consider trying Himalayan pink salt if you haven't before. It's good stuff. All right. Thanks again for watching. Have a blessed day.